Data Access Enforcer for Elasticsearch. The next lab's DAE for Elasticsearch is an enforcer that intercepts and optimizes Elasticsearch queries to make sure that users would only be able to see records that they have permissions to access. Similar to other Next Labs DAE solutions, DAE for Elasticsearch supports denying access to different data containers. In the case for Elasticsearch, they are the indices, data filtering, data masking, and a combination of both data filtering and data masking. In this demo, we are going to make use of this web app to show you the contents of the different indices. Here, we have our user Alex, who currently has full access to these different indices. We can make use of the credentials Alex used to log in to get his credentials and the different attributes that this user has. Currently, these attributes are stored in a CSV file, and this CSV file is parsed by our CSV plugin for this demo. NextLab supports getting user attributes from various data sources, and we're going to make use of these attributes when we create our policies later. For our first use case, we would like to flat out deny all non-HR users access to the bank privacy index. If you would look at our CSV, Alex is a member of the sales department. So when he tries to access the bank privacy index, we don't want him to be able to do that. Right now, he has access to this bank privacy index. So what we will do is deploy this policy. And this is a deny policy targeting all users who are not a member of the HR department. These users will be denied if they are trying to access the index called bank_privacy. Let's log into the same application, this time as John, and try to see the contents of the bank privacy index. You will see that John still has full access over this index. Now, if I log in as the user Alex and run the search on the bank privacy index, you will see that now he is being denied from accessing it. He is getting the message, you are not allowed to access this particular index. For our second use case, you can see that our users also has full access on the customer index. So what we will do is deploy this policy. We would like to limit Alex's access so he can only see records from his own country. Unlike the first policy that we have deployed, this is an allow policy because we would still like Alex to be able to view the contents of the customer index. It's just that we want to limit what he can see or which records he can view. Here, we made use of the component for the users, nation is equal to CN. This attribute is taken from our CSV file, nation CN. So users will be accessing the customer index. So we are using the customer index in our resource component. If you scroll down, we are also making use of the data search obligation. In this obligation, we specify the criteria that must be met in order for a particular row or record from the index to be displayed. Here, our criteria is that the nation of that particular record must also be equal to CN. So if I were to log in as John and run our second use case, you will see that John has full access to this index because John is not from CN and we have only targeted users from CN. If I were to log in as the user Alex and run the second use case, you will see that instead of seeing all records, Alex now only sees 4 records, and each of these records has the nation CN, Now, for our third use case, what we want to do is hide certain values when the people who are accessing this are non-US nationals. Okay, what we want to do is when they're searching for employee records, we're going to hide the address of the employees who have resigned. So before I deploy the policy, let's take a look at what Alex can see. Here you'll see that Alex is able to view all 11 records in the employee all index. I'm going to the Control Center console and create a policy. So this time it is also a allow policy. And we are targeting all non-US nationals. So here we are making use of the subject component nation is not equal to US. So we have a different target for this particular policy. This time it's for the employee-all index. So instead of using the data search obligation, in this policy, we are making use of the data mask obligation. In this obligation, we have to specify the criteria when a particular value should be masked. In this case, what we're trying to do is to mask the address field with 4 asterisks if the state field has the value resigned. So first, let's log in as John. Here you will see that when we run the third use case as John, he still has access to all the records because he is part of the US citizens. And if we log in as Alex, so we know that Alex is from China. So if Alex were to run the third use case, so now you will see that he has limited access to the records. He still sees all of the records, all 11 of them, but you will notice that the address fields for those records has already been redacted. But for records that belongs to China, the address fields are not redacted. For our fourth and final use case, we want to combine the data filtering and data masking. In this use case, we're going to make use of the employee-detail index. And what we want to do here is hide all of the records of the directors if the person who is accessing this is not part of the HR department. And for all the other users that you are able to see, we would also want to hide the gender. So the policy would most likely be the same. So here, since we mentioned that we want to target those who are not member of the HR department, I have here the subject component department is not equal to HR. We are targeting the employee detail index. And here under obligations, we're making use of both data masking and the data search obligation. For the data masking, we have specified here that we want to hide gender. And then we did not specify any condition because we're hiding gender all the time. And then for the data search, we have specified here the condition title not matching director. So under this obligation, we want to specify the criteria so that the information will be shown. So if the title is not director, then it will be shown in the results. So our user, John, when he runs the fourth use case, he still sees the entire table or the entire record set because he is part of the HR department. Whereas if we have Alex, who is not part of the HR department, he will only be able to see 8 records. Okay? And for the 8 records that he was able to see, you'll notice that all the gender values has been redacted to $. And that concludes our demo for DAE for Elasticsearch. Thanks for watching.